So you're either telling the truth or you're telling a lie. So let us get on with our program for this evening. Welcome once again to our podcast. We're here every Thursday evening at 7 o'clock, and we try to deal with the issues in a fair and proper way. We have no sacred cows, we have no scapegoats, we have no agendas, political, religious, personal, not at all. This is simply dealing with the trending issues and giving our view on it, our opinion as to what is happening, and invite you, the listening audience, to join, and the viewing audience to join in. One of our regular viewers actually dropped by today, and we had some words personally. Mr. Strawn, Jerome Strawn, is in Belize. I know Evandale Coburn put up that he's also in Belize. I hope to see him soon before he leave. And it's always good to catch up with old friends, and in particular those who join us, all the time. We have quite a number of faithful listeners and viewers, and we like that. We don't get numbers like Piers Morgan or any of those big streamers, Candace Owen and these people. But for Belize, our numbers are respectable, and we try to build upon that by bringing you interesting programs, interesting guests. When we don't have guests, we still try to make it as interesting as possible so that you can relate to what we are saying and give your opinion one way or the other. Have an opinion, even if you don't put it forth. Jeremy Spooner has opted out for tonight. He has said that he's not going to be coming in. He has some prior um, commitments, and we can understand that. And this now show that we do this strictly pro bono, people. We just try to engage you in meaningful conversation and debate, and that labor of love, really, and just something where Jeremy, I invited him on, and I realized that he, he is not. We don't agree on a lot of things, but he has he has his own view and matters, and that's all right. He doesn't. He's not bashful about stating them. Um, I think he's a bit far on the right, as was evident from a post that he put up this past week, which I had to take objections to. I don't think that has anything to do with him. He had mentioned to me that he was going to be having some friends over and whatnot, but the post had to do with uh, the situation at BTL. And I hope to get Joe should be on with us anytime soon. He's usually late, as most good Creole coffee are. But I really want to engage him on this BTL matter because he knows a little about what is going on. See, Joe has been in the belly of the beast, and when Joe Covey speaks, it's from experience. I believe there are lots of times when he'll take us down a rabbit hole and now come up with the real answers to the questions. But what we do, we work around that and we try to get what we can from him. But he does have a lot to offer. Jeremy suggested that because Yellow Man broke through the barrier, and he did this again in back in 2005. I was on that hill working as a part of the security forces at that time. And I noticed that Channel 7 showed a clip of Crispin Jeffries falling down in the line of duty. And I think it was kind of a low because I don't know what you achieve from that. But I can tell you this, was it not for Crispin Jeffries, that situation would have made Minnesota, Minneapolis, or what they're doing over there, rival it in some way. uh, and we could talk about that a little later because that is some. But the situation that he was addressing had something to do with that, and he kind of compared Yellow Man to Alex Pretty, and I didn't see it fitting at all to go there. So we engaged in some conversation, and I was hoping he would have been able to address it personally. But be that as it may, because the Alex Pretty thing has the state of Minnesota. Minnesota is a state, correct? And looking at it from a distance, it's like a pot that's getting ready to boil over, and I hope it doesn't. America has for a long time been a good place, a beacon of hope, a light for those wandering around. So I hope they get it together. I see Joe is in the house. Joe, good evening and welcome to the show.
Has been Bob. Good
All
evening.
right, I hear you. I hear you well. Um, yeah, we're well. January is almost gone, Joe. It's why time is zooming by, isn't it? Or is it that we're older? Why see it feels that way? Because
I
uh,
Tempus fugit. That's a, that is a
translate that
Latin term. Time has flown.
time has flown.
Yeah,
You,
I
you,
think the feeling is relative though. I think 60 seconds is still 60 seconds at the minute.
you really think? Why not?
Yeah,
And you think 24 hours, still 24 hours to the day?
yes. But I think what happens, and it happens to all of us, sometimes when we are so preoccupied, especially in something that we may have a lot of intrinsic gratification, time tends to move fast.
So you think
That with
that
me, we feel like the time has gone too quick. But if it is something laborious, something we find certainly not soothing, then it
really
feels like it's taking too long to pass.
you to
So it's
get to
relative.
you to get to Einstein's point of view now, though, because Einstein was suggesting if you want to know the difference, compare a minute that you're with a person that you love and a minute with your finger on a hot stove. And our total difference in the time you to deal with there.
That's a
Uh,
very good.
yeah, so but I'm wondering if young people feel the same way because maybe they aren't as engaged in everyday living as we are. I mean, as far as forging out the survival and whatnot. But yeah, I've heard complaints from them too. It seems they believe that time is certainly, see, it feels like it's flying faster, Joe. Um, the seasons, the change of the seasons, winter, summer, spring, and it's like it just comes fast. It feels to me then that it's coming faster than it used to. Maybe you're right. That just perception, no, on what I'm going through.
Yeah, it's just feeling. But just as I came into the show, I'm not sure whether you were referring or mentioning the highlight of the week. That is with the BTL smart debacle now.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's important that we get more engaged.
We need to talk about that, Joe. And you, I was telling the people that you've been in the belly of that beast. You know from different angles, and you might be seeing some things we're not seeing. Um, from your point of view, what is going on at BTL, and why should we be concerned? Why are the people that are showing concern feel that they need to be concerned?
I think what we need to begin to look at is the more professional approach, which to me is not something that should be eluding us. But what I do sense is that the majority of the people out there protest. While I'm not saying their protest is totally unjustified, I don't think they have been able to fathom the real implications of what is happening. I can put it to you quickly because I'm very familiar, not only by being a former chairman, but I'm familiar with the type of transaction that they're looking to do. And
You
one of
were
the
the,
first,
you hold up. You were a chairman of BTL
I was chairman of the board, yes.
on the board. Ah, interesting. All right. So yeah. All right. So go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I
I
was
think
on.
what we need to look at first, and I'm hearing again I believe it's union and others are saying that they're opposed to the merger.
Uh-huh.
But then it's not a merger because merger and acquisitions are two technically different terms in reality in the market, in economics and finance. And I think it's good for us to know the difference. It's certainly not a merger. I couldn't see it
Uh,
being a merger. And
Merger. Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't want to
yeah, a
interrupt.
merger is when you have two companies
Mm-hmm.
that decide they want to come together
Mm-hmm.
and form one company. In the algebraic term, to describe it in the legal and economic sense, it's like A plus B equals C. So A, when I say is BTL, and B is smart. So in a merger, what will come out is C.
Mm-hmm.
They merge, meaning they take the stocks that one have, and then they give them shares in return for it into the new company C. And that's merger. That's a legal term, economic term from merger.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you can do is have an acquisition. The acquisition now is where one company actually consumes the other. What it does, in some most cases, it buys out the shares. So if BTL acquiring Smart, there are different ways you can do it. One of the more common ways is you just buy out the shares of Smart. You pay them the 80 million, whatever it is for the shares. And then Smart becomes a subsidiary of the parent company BTL. The third stage, which I would have hoped, which they did in the case of when Heritage acquired Barclays Bank, when Belize Bank acquired Scotia, what they did, they take out, some will call it cherry picking. It's not cherry picking. You take out what you think you want to expand your potential for return on your investment. So let's say now they're doing an acquisition, and it will be simple if it's just buying the shares. And when I say simple, I'm talking about a process. We'll come down now to the concerns that I think I have, and I think many people do have. What you could do, the third one, if BTL evidently says, well, listen, we want to take over your customer base. So if a company takes the customer base from another company, especially in a duopoly, which we have in Belize, we don't have a monopoly, we have a duopoly. We only have two of them providing the service. So if BTL takes over the customer base of Smart, what happens is the expanding customer base, and then you have to decide whether it has the capacity to serve the customer base. To the extent that it doesn't have that capacity, then it buy what it needs from Smart to build a capacity. When it builds the capacity with a larger base, they get what you call the economies of scale, which simply mean your fixed cost goes down and your profit goes up. Now, those are the things that we should be looking at. What to me now, I want to learn more of, and this is important. In this particular case, you are dealing with a technology, communication.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important for us to know whether telecommunication as it exists now, how long will it be so? For example, we are hearing of Starlink. You're familiar with Starlink, of course.
Correct.
Now, those are satellites up there which are transmitting and we are receiving.
Mm-hmm.
And it's doing it at a very high speed.
Mm-hmm.
Today, from the last check I did, you have 12,000. And of the 12,000, Elon Musk company controls about 60% or more. Well, they control 9,000.
Mm-hmm.
The projection is that they are looking to bring the world to a point of 30,000. 30,000, yeah. Oh, Belize, if you notice, there are like 3 countries or 4 in this zone here, this region, that are not with Starlink. And Belize is one of them. Nicaragua is one, I think. I think Venezuela is one. This is the technology now that I cannot speak intelligently on. But for us to make the decisions, the things that I said before, those are the things we are experts in as chartered accountants. That's what we do. What I would do now, if I was the one having to deal with this matter from a professional, I would get somebody now that has the technical skills, the technology, I need to know, and I think we should all want to know, because that was my concern I had with Fortis, which I don't want to go back to right now. Are we buying something that may only be good for 5 years? Would it become technological obsolescent? We need to know that.
You're
Apart, uh,
you mentioned Starlink, and it seems like the plan is that Elon Musk is gonna have Starlink, where you can just buy a phone and use it. You won't need any company like a BTL or a Smart. So that's interesting. And then maybe you pay only extra for that or something like that. It would be good for people, but for companies like Smart and BTL, they will be obsolete indeed. They won't be needed. Um, and of course, you have to worry about where and there the workers thereof and etc. No? And the big P because it seems like because now the chairman, from what I understand, at $400,000 per year he's getting. Are those figures correct, Joe? It,
that sounds extremely high,
it
400,000.
sounds high for you,
You're
but
talking about 40,000 a month. And I
yeah.
think if I remember, I think he's an executive chairman. The chairman doesn't get very big pay, but if you're an executive chairman, then you're a part of management. But
Mhm.
just a chairman, just being a chairman, you are not a part of management. You're a chairman of a board only. But our
So
executive chairman will get more.
so the you have all right. You have these two companies, and I don't see why they wanted to merge to separate in the first place because it's just they want to branch off. Smart apparently branched off from BTL. I don't think they started because they even had to remember they had a problem with the cable that came in. Where we call the one where
Fiber optics?
the fiber optic, and then Smart had to rent from BTL something like that,
Yes.
and it kind of like made them even almost dependent on BTL. So because then if BTL has it, you're the competition. You can be basically sabotage that or limit it at some point. They were functioning. Now they, there's an oil in ointment, and that Smart two of Smart major shareholders are the brothers to the prime minister. The prime minister family actually own what about 38% of the shares. Is
No,
it
they own about roughly, I would say 23.
okay? Ashcraft had
Ashcroft owns
70,
77,
right?
77.5 to be.
And so they own about 23. Um, so people are going to be naturally suspicious. What can they do to convince people that there's no skullduggery here in play? This is up and up above board. That this is just for the betterment of the industry. Well,
Well, let me put it here this way, Mr. Chairman. You're on a very good point right there. I've heard it coming from, and I don't want to be discrediting my good friend, the chairman of the board, but we have a tendency to believe that when you say something that, the company will certainly benefit from this, we'll be able to make more revenue, we'll be able to expand this and expand that. Those are more rhetoric. That's not the way to speak about what you should be doing. If you are coming before a board with the shareholders sitting in, you wouldn't buy those kind of things. You have to show me precisely for the same thing those things that I'm saying to you is what you need to put in. You need to look at the technology to try to understand what more years it may have. You need to go whether it's a merger or whether it's an acquisition. You need to know whether you're going to cherry pick and then see what you see. The reality of it is that let's put out Starlink for now. Let's put out the obsolescence. There is benefit to BTL acquiring Smart. Evidently,
which
there is.
which means then there was a problem with them letting go of that part of that they had a hold of. When they had the monopoly, if there's benefits to them reacquiring, which are basically what they're going to do, coming back together, whether you call it a merger, acquisition, or any of that, they're coming back together. They split at some point and went up. See, I at that time I could not understand it. I cannot understand it now.
Well,
What
it
was the
wasn't.
rationale behind that?
Yeah, it wasn't a split. what had happened then is that the government at the time thought that the competition would better the consumers. Now, because the fiber optics was controlled by BTL, the government could have passed a legislation to force BTL to have to make it fiber optics available. There was already the subsidiary. It was a subsidiary law. It drafted everything. It was only to be signed. So what happened at that time, remember, the lawyer, Mr. Glenn Godfrey, had borrowed 19 million from Social Security to start Intel.
Right.
To create the competition. Now, to jumpstart Intel, the government then took away from BTL all that the government controlled. At that time, the government had 25% of BTL account. Mm-hmm. So he gave that over to Intel to jumpstart it after lending them the 19 million. What had happened, and I'm getting this at the time from first, I got it clearly from the then owner. He's saying that they had agreed that they would sign the SI. The SI was already drafted, only to be signed by the appropriate minister.
That's for Intelco. That's for Intelco.
Yes, and Ashcraft would be forced. It had to be able to sell. It had to be able to sell to the new company. But when that was not done, it stymied the company. It did. We won't go any further what happened with that. Then sometime after, and here is where we need to ask ourselves, well, how come when Smart was created, with Ashcraft now owning that 78%, why was it prepared to give the fiber optics to Smart? It did. Otherwise, there couldn't have been, unless the law was passed.
Right.
So now that was what happened. That's the pass. No,
so was the law passed? Was the law ever passed?
No.
So they just did that
voluntarily.
Yeah. What's the Latin? What's the Latin phrase for that? Since we're talking Latin outside of the law, because was it outside of the law then that it was done?
No, that was quite within the law.
That they were able to do it without signing this agreement that you're talking about?
Yeah, because they could do it voluntarily. It's only if the government decided that you do not want to make it available, the government can. And with the PUC now, we could even have done it even easier. It can insist that you must sell the product.
And what about the shareholders? You said at that time BTL and the government owned 25% of BTL, right? So what about them? Did they have a say in whether they could give acquisition to that fiber optic or not?
Which 20? What? The government owning what?
At that time, when BTL and Smart, when Smart came on board, government through Social Security, was it, or through the people of Belize, they owned a percentage of the shares in BTL. Is that correct?
Before it was sold to us.
Right.
So the government had 100%.
At BTL.
Yeah.
All right. So the government had the right to give them the fiber optics if they wanted or not.
So we never had the fiber optics yet.
No, Smart didn't have it yet, but we had to have it because that was what BTL was working through, right?
Not in the beginning. No, at that time we never had it yet. When we started mobile telephone, I was the chairman of the board when we brought mobile telephone to Belize. We never had the fiber optics yet. That came after.
The fiber optics was on the ground cable or on a water cable or something like that, as far as I remember.
Right. I think it ran across the ocean and whatnot.
Yeah, and then it came. Well, now I don't even know if we need that again with all the technology from outer space.
Well, that's one of the points I was coming to after I said that you need to look at the structures, the legal and the economic aspects, and then you have to put into the technology. So I believe that we are quite capable if we really sit down together among the people who have the wherewithal, the expertise. And we can look at this thing and to see whether it was the while or not. And I think that's what the government should be doing.
Who owns BTL right now, Joe?
BTL right now, remember, let's go back to when Barrow bought it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be saying Barrow bought it. During the period of when we took it back from Ashcroft, there were 250 million paid for the shares, 100% owned by government. We bought it from Ashcroft. But because when we acquired it, when the government acquired it at the time, they didn't pay. It took months or years after. They had to go way up to the Caribbean Court of Justice. Then when they finalized what they would be paying, the government had to pay the interest for the period that they had not paid that 250 million. And the interest came up to just about the same thing, just a few million more. So the amount for the shares and the amount for the interest together combined was 500 million. Then you had legal fees and you had some other money owing, I think, at 90 million. That the final figure was around almost 700 million. But of that 700 million, it was agreed that the shares would be at 250 million. And evidently, there was two valuations done, one on behalf of the government and one for Ashcroft. The difference was big in the valuation, but the difference was big because the government told the evaluator to leave out the accommodation agreement. And once you take out the accommodation agreement, which is an intangible asset, it was a large amount, and that was what brought the difference. Then afterwards, they reconciled it. That is when then the then Prime Minister, Minister of Finance, negotiated in Florida with Ashcroft to pay that money. And that is how we got it.
And did Ashcroft ever get paid?
Yeah.
Paid by the government?
Yeah.
So then BTL right now is owned by the government again. Is that correct?
Yes, I think what the government had done since, which they had been doing from time to time, and it made sense. What happened? Social Security, for Social Security to be viable, it has to invest the workers' money.
The money cannot
be viable, right? You have to get returns.
I can understand that.
With capital market, the market is very small in the least. So the bulk of Social Security investment was in CDs for many years when it was up to 9-10%. So Social Security always have to be looking around to see where you can invest this money. So what the government was doing most of the time, they were using Social Security money to invest. So Social Security then bought out a good amount of the shares. And it makes good sense. If the returns are good, you have to buy. So you find that indirectly, it is still owned by the citizens through in the case of the Social Security Fund, which belongs to the workers, paid for by the employer and the employees themselves. Well, I think that the issue, Mr. Chairman, that we need to begin to come to terms with each other and to try to get away from the partisan politics, which is only muddying the waters and confusing the people. I think we need to be a bit more professional in what we think should be done. I would not be one to just off the top of my head, because maybe I do not particularly like the government that it is, and say, no, that's not the thing to do. No, I can see where, depending on the technology, that's the only thing I'm not too knowledgeable of. But evidently, I can see where BTL acquiring Smart at a reasonable price, a fairly good market price, it will, no doubt, improve considerably the profit of BTL. And that's a fact, given the increased cost. If your customer base increase, if you have to expand the capacity, your fixed cost goes down.
That does make sense, because I imagine they will make more money. They were making more money when they had no competition. If you have to split the market between two things, there's less money to make than if you got one person to control the market. So we understand that. But the problem is, though, that when they come up with this, it will benefit the people, and we've never seen any benefit.
No, I kind of differ with that one. It can't benefit.
What benefit did we see when Smart was created to benefit the people? What benefit did we? Just the fact that we had competition?
No. This perception that with a duopoly, it will create competition and prices go down. That is total nonsense. Duopolies do not bring competition, especially in small economies. Worse. So duopoly, for you to have competition in a market, you have to have several providers, not one or two. I mean, two is not no free market economy. That's not competition. But let's come back now to the economics of it. If BTL acquires, we're putting aside the technology. Let's say the technology is okay. But it's a fact that if one company expand its customer base and of course be efficient in its capacity to provide the service, which is one, the capital, and two, the operating. And when you're dealing with capital, profit comes through economies of scale. In other words, if I have a fixed asset, let me use a warehouse quickly. I have a warehouse with a capacity of 10,000 ground floor square feet. But if that warehouse, I'm only using 50% of it, the cost for carrying those goods will be high. But as I keep increasing the capacity of the warehouse, the fixed cost unit goes down. So when I have my warehouse used at 90%, obviously it's when now I'm maximizing on profit. Just like any business, a hotel, the occupancy rate, as the occupancy rate goes up, you increase your profit. So it's a fact that if BTL were to acquire Smart, the potential is there. For one, remember telecommunication is regulated by PUC. So BTL, when benefit from the acquisition of Smart, BTL will not have no freedom to simply say that he will charge this. No, PUC will regulate the price at which you want to sell it.
If you have a PUC in place that's independent and able to do that. Because when you appoint people to like a PUC with affiliation and loyalty to one side or the other, then you don't get no fair.
You know, Mr. Chairman, I put that position that you are saying. I don't really support what you're saying. But I put the position to somebody who said the same thing like you. I said, then maybe we shouldn't have independence because we don't have the kind of people to run the country.
Well, that's the question now, because we heard when Johnny Bruseno said the other day that Belize not got no talent, whatever context he was saying it in. But do we have independent people, Joe? Do we have enough people to staff such a entity like PUC that will look out for the interests of the people and not for the interests of their masters?
Mr. Chairman, I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. I'm absolutely sure that you have Belizeans that can do it. And I know of Belizeans that have done it before. I think we have to stop casting aspersions at Belizeans.
No,
I'm not going to finish. Just allow me to finish.
Yeah, but you're going to carry me down a rabbit hole again, man.
No. Just allow me to finish. I won't take you down the rabbit hole.
Finish. Yeah.
Let me tell you why. We believe we're the whole that the politicians corrupt, public officers corrupt, this one corrupt. The truth about it, Mr. Chairman, it's not no profession that corrupt us. It only reveals who we are. And I know that there are many Belizeans who have held positions, who has their partisan feelings, but have been upright. Quite upright and efficient and effective to this country and serve this country with integrity. And we do have talents. We don't only have talents. We have
not lately. Let me welcome Gregory before going any further and try again. Gregory, late as usual. Do me a favor, punchy clap for me and then mark on it.
Sorry about that, gentlemen. I have to brace the traffic at 5 o'clock, and I left out at 4:45, and it took me an extra.
I can imagine how that traffic they stand on. The traffic in Belize is terrible. We could talk about that. Listen, Greg, and the UDP had a protest. It wasn't no Minneapolis protest, of course. No King's protest, but it was a protest. And do they have a reason enough to protest? Do you think? I mean, from your point of view, do you believe that they should protest BTL for China?
Yes, I do think we need that they had a right to protest.
No, not that they had a right. I mean,
no. Let me go on. the reason is there's so much issues with that merger that needs to be addressed, and we're not getting those questions answered
Like
by
what?
the chairman. The force and the rush of the government to do this without transparency and providing the information about what the balance sheet is for the smart and the other company that is seeking to merge. I think
Is that you the time with the people's money that's going to be involved here?
yes, 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 because this the way Mr. Mark Lizaraga sort of framed this is that the people that this is a private transaction, but this is not private. This is a public transaction because they are utilizing public money, both the social security and the money from government that is the people's money. So we need that transparency. Actually, I think Mr. Lizaraga is so compromised as chairman that he should probably resign, not only recuse himself, but I think he has failed. He has failed to properly um, manage the process of clarifying all of the conflict of interest that's part of this.
But
this
it sounds like a talking point though. It sounds like I don't know. I get an echo from you there somewhere.
yes, I hear it and I'm trying to see where it is.
Yeah. Uh, what is that? Where's that coming from?
That's not me. That's not me. I put myself on mute and I still hear it.
All right. But some I hear somebody in the background like a female guitar. All right. I don't know. All right. Come back, Greg. Make a shake.
Okay, so I do have concern, and I think the people that could represent that concern is the opposition, and I think that they had a decent showing. Like you said, it was not a big protest, but I think they were able to gather enough people to sort of warn the government that they should address it in an appropriate way. I personally am not against having a monopoly for a telephone company or any of the public utilities. But I do believe that if they are going to make that purchase, we need to have clear understanding of what we are buying, what assets, what is there any debt on those companies, and is it properly appraised? Are we paying the correct amount of money for that asset? So those are
Well,
my concerns.
and we get right back to this. And I hate for bring up this fool name every time, this Budna thing, but we got something that has to be done, but the how we go about doing it, so we concentrate on the how we do it as opposed to getting it done. I don't know because it seems that most people believe that them coming together is not going to be a bad thing. Well, just get it done. Um, I don't think that is enough to bring the government down for. And I tell you what, you got a leader of the opposition, right? And the reporter goes up to her and says, "Why do you all have to take it this far?" And the leader of the opposition now answers and verbatim, "Why do we have to take it this far? You have the audacity to ask that question. You have the audacity as a member of the independent media to ask why we have to take it that far. You haven't seen anything yet. Really, that the answer to that question. The question
Well,
is what she could. You spent more time and made more sense just now explaining what you think, and even that to me is not enough to warrant going out there and breaking down BTL gate and going there
no, no,
trying to
no.
storm a board meeting.
No, but let me tell you, protest is a part of what we organize, what is organized to show opposition. So, did they take it too far? I don't know that they did. Did they have to stop the meeting to sort of make an impression that we have concern about what's going on? That is all part of normal showing opposition and protest to an
I
action.
hear
I
you.
don't want them to bring the government down for this. I think the government needs to respect and respond to the people. And if the people are saying that they need clarification and they need to understand how this deal is going to affect BTL moving forward, and it's not just a buyout to cover some people that are now seeing an end of a cycle and just trying to dump it on the public as a resource that has passed its time. Then we need to have that type of clarity and that type of exposure and transparency about it.
I get that. I get that. And Joe is being quiet, but I know you're jumping directly on this. But see, the the opposition now has to understand at some point that opposition does not mean just anything you can oppose or oppose to because you're a government in waiting, and their voice was that we're gonna bring down the government. The same thing happens every time something comes up. Why is the opposition always just there trying to make? When are we going to allow a government to govern? Because it happens every time.
Mr. Chairman, I think I wish Mr. Gregory was here from the beginning because I've expounded on what I believe ought to have been done. But in substance, I think we are concurring, Mr. Morrison. And I want to say this now. Yes, I would say that perhaps the behavior out there that day, let's call his name Yellow Man, was not something that I would have liked to do as a leader of the opposition. But let us not forget that what these people are doing, the opposition and the unions, are in fact expressing concerns that we ourselves are doing, except that we are doing it in a more professional way. If a government, and I speak in a generic sense, is not sufficiently transparent and being accountable in what you are doing with such material and sizable actions for the people of this country, obviously the people have to get upset. I said to you that, Mr. Gregory, I want to just point out some things, what is happening. And one of them, I heard you said it. And I'm not here to discredit what you are saying. I'm simple. In substance, I fully agree with you. But you yourself said just now about, you used the word merger. Did not you?
Yes, yes.
It's not a merger, and I think it should.
It's an acquisition. Yeah.
No. Did the government said to the people exactly what they are doing? I hear them saying out there, the union saying it's a merger. It is not a merger. There is a technical, legal, and economic definition for merger.
Mm-hmm.
And the algebraic formula in a merger is simple that A plus B equals C.
Yeah.
In other words, A goes in,
yeah,
detail, B goes in smart, and C merge. That's a merger.
Mm-hmm.
But it is not a merger. It seems to me it might be an acquisition. But if it's an acquisition, we need to know whether you are acquiring its shares and whether you are taking all its assets and liabilities, because it may not worth it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that is what we want to know. We know from what Oscroft did, a release he made, that it was 80 million they were supposed to be getting, which I believe they could be buying out just the shares. And when they buy the shares, that's a way of acquiring it. But how do we know? Except that I heard the chairman said that they had an external valuator, who I have to know who he is. But why don't they show it us? Show us how you arrive at it. Make public the balance sheet. BTL is a state-owned enterprise. We have a right to see their financial statements.
Yes.
Now you want to acquire Smart, make it be available to us. If we are owners, you think if I'm a shareholder of a company, my board of directors could go and acquire another company without allowing me, the shareholder, decide? No, man.
Exactly.
And these are the things, Mr. Chairman, we have to begin to put aside with partisan, I don't want to call it fanatism, but with partisan feelings, and just simply look at it in a very objective and dispassionate way, a professional way.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, and I will repeat it, this is my expertise. This is my field of expertise. I'm not being intellectually arrogant, please. I can do this. I can do this job. And the thing you want to know indeed I would say that BTL, if it should acquire smart, it can in fact increase its bottom line. It can bring better bottom line, and the people can benefit. They can. We can.
Yes.
No, are we doing it?
How would the people benefit?
Let me tell you why.
Because nothing goes down. We have never seen any rates go down in any area. Remember when we had oil? Remember when we had Petrocarib? Remember when we were digging our own oil? And wait, let me finish. Remember when we were sending truckloads down the Hummingbird Highway one after the other? Because I used to go up there all the time. I don't even know where all the trucks again, but there were many of them all day. Trucks. Not a penny less for gasoline. So how does the people benefit?
Well, Mr. Chairman, we're coming right back to the issue that I was trying to avoid. Perhaps we were not ready for independence then. Because you are saying to me, we have laws to make sure we have the PUC. We have the laws to regulate any company, any business as to what they will sell for. No, if we have the laws and we are not applying the laws, then something is seriously wrong with us. But the law is there. If BTL acquires smart tomorrow and do it in a professional way, a very open, transparent way, I am guaranteeing you that the price can go down. It will go down.
The price for telecommunications will go down.
It doesn't move. It doesn't.
Let me finish. Let me tell you why you have to. They are regulated by PUC.
But who is PUC, Joe? And how are we gonna?
PUC is the Public Utilities Commission.
Yes. Who appoints PUC? Who puts the PUC there?
Mr. Chairman, you see what you're going to do to me. You are saying simple that we cannot have people of integrity in the country, and I cannot have this.
And we cannot have them. That way we do not have them.
But I am saying to you, look at it. BL went to the PUC saying that they have been experiencing losses. And they are asking that they get an increase of 5.7 cents a kilowatt.
Right.
No.
PUC said no, you want to get 4.
He said he gave them less. Yeah. Of course he did.
But they get something, that's what I'm saying. And we were supposed to get benefit from that too.
They have to get something, man. They have to.
Why?
Because the cost of fuel to them. We know for a fact that we want to begin to bring down the cost. If I am buying something for $1, I cannot sell it for 99 cents. I have to sell it for more. What is happening with BL? Because it cannot bring down the cost, the purchase price. Evidently, that's the cost of sale. So he can only sell to get a gross profit to cover his operating expenses.
Maybe if they don't have chairmen making millions of dollars, maybe that would help. Don't you think?
What I'm saying to you, Mr. Chairman.
I could understand how the unions get upset, you know, Joanne.
Of course, that's what we are saying.
But you could say exactly, but you're not giving me a credible explanation as to where they go on your man. Because listen, let's look at BAL. Let's look at B because we got 2 dams, and we had to every time we had to shell out money for these dams, and we got these dams because it was supposed to benefit the people and lower the cost of electricity. We have not had a penny reduction in any of these areas, and that's what I'm saying.
No, Mr. Chairman, you are not. That's not true.
Let me jump in here a little bit. Often in prices, once it goes up, it's very hard to bring the cost down because the structure has built into it, as Mr. Cowell will know, the employee costs, the management costs, operating costs. So it's hard. So you could probably hold the rate steady while other things continue because you're having efficiency. But it's very hard if you are at 27 cents per kilowatt hour to reduce that to 18 cents per kilowatt hour, no matter what efficiency you do, unless you do something really extraordinary. You know, the cost doesn't come down like that.
Mr. Morrison.
Yes, sir.
I have looked at BL audited financials, and I was a party to doing some work some years ago on it. I know their financials. I know they're audited. Now, if we had not shifted to hydro, we would not have been able to keep the cost where it is. It would have been going up more.
That's because
what I'm saying. Evidently the cost of fueling it, fuel,
Yeah.
has been going up because of the cost of fuel.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
what helped us too is because Mexico, out of its good relationship, was prepared to sell us. So we were importing at a price, and that is when you look at the makeup, and I looked at it myself, we get about between 50 and 60% from Mexico. We get about 33%, pretty around close to 35% from the hydro. And then the rest comes from one or two who are providing energy to BL. So there is a mix. And when you get the mix, they average it out so that they can say the cost of sale is the mix of these, so we can sell at this price.
Right.
But why, why we have that, why we were not going up maybe faster than we are going up? It's because of hydro. He brought it down. He was able to hold down the price. We could not hold it down with what we were doing with this fossil fuel thing with these. No, we can't because the price keep going up.
Yeah. No, that's the mix. I think though that with hydro we always have the possibility of but hydro is so dependent on the weather condition, isn't that so? So it fluctuates for us, and I think the arrangement we had with Mexico was that during the day they have pretty much high demand, so their supply to us is very low. But that's when BEL needs that high demand. That's when our demand is the same as Mexico, and so we were having problems where they had to shed us from their transmission lines at times, and it caused issues for power supply within the country.
Let me give you another thing here. Mr. Morrison, you cited something important. The cost of hydro per unit during the high season is very good. But we know that the price will not be the same because we're not getting it as we should. So the future, the strategic energy position for this country was to bring solar. Because of where we are located in the world, Belize is in this zone where we get the most sun over the whole world.
Yeah.
Belize is where we are getting sun more than any other part of the world.
Yeah, I think it's like 78% at the time.
That's right, because of where we are. And because now we will find that with solar and backed up with hydro, when it is low in hydro, it will be high because solar will continue.
How about windmills?
Then, we can go for windmill too, but windmill, from the study they did, that will be a little bit more costly. But right now it was hydro and solar. Because you see the cost of solar going down because of the batteries. One of the high costs of solar was to be able to save the energy.
Yes.
So you had batteries like this some years ago. Now they're doing it in that.
Yeah.
So what is happening? We are bringing down the cost of the batteries for solar, and therefore it's bringing down the cost. So what we do, we don't pay anything for the sun. We don't pay for the sun.
There is a program, I think, that Saudi Arabia had financed for Belize where they were going to do like 85.
That's right.
KV.
Solar.
Of solar, yeah.
What happened to that?
One portion was for solar, and the other portion, I think, is for education.
Yeah. So I don't know where that program is. The government haven't spoken of it in a year or so. But I remember it was, and I think the contract was signed and everything, but I haven't heard anything about it. I think they were probably looking at where to make the placement of these panels. It was going to be distributed over different regions, and I think the last time I heard about it, they were looking at identifying the land areas where these panels could be placed to create this generating capacity.
Takes a while.
So don't you believe, gentlemen, that if whosoever, and let's begin with from the Prime Minister, the Minister of Finance and the head of the cabinet, if they were to come and present to us exactly what is it that we're doing, is it a merger? Is it an acquisition? Give us all the information that should be made public to us. Let us see the financials. Let us see the financials of BT. Make it available to the union. Any one of them, the family.
Yeah.
Make these things available. No. Show us the valuation you did for what we are paying or what they are proposing to be paid.
Yeah. Yeah,
How is it?
$90 million.
Let me show you something that they slipped up on, and I'm sorry for the chairman. I'm really sorry that he did that because he's not aware. Ashcroft gave a release about what he's expecting to get, 80 million. It's coincidental that the chairman is saying that they had valuation done externally. But how come he had valuation done externally and we don't know what that valuation is?
Yeah, they just tell us what they were going to pay for it. They didn't say what the assets was worth.
Well, I'm saying if you give us the balance, the financials of each, make it public.
Yes,
we have expertise out there, and then we can look at it.
Exactly.
And then we can say, well, listen, let me show you to do this thing.
Bottom line, Joe, let me ask your opinion. Are they trying to pull a fast one on the people?
They are. They definitely are trying to do that.
I am kind of slow in being so sinister, but again, the way they are behaving, they are inviting it.
They're inviting the suspicion for sure.
Yeah, because if you are not transparent and accountable,
why would you not want to be? Yeah,
exactly. And to me, it's a legitimate expectation of the people. So to me, I mean, when they are making nice, I don't think they are making nice just for the sake of making nice. The only thing about them is that perhaps they may not be professional enough to be able to understand. For example, when they keep hollering merger, is that a merger? I don't see it ever being a merger. If it's a merger, then Smart will remain.
Yeah.
If it's a merger, Smart will not go. What Smart will do, Smart will be absorbed by the new company C, and BTL will be merged by the new company C. That's why the formula in algebraic formula is A plus B equals C.
Yeah. And the leadership at Smart would remain part of BTL, but that's not the case. It is an acquisition.
Well, Smart can remain.
No, I'm just saying. If you are doing an acquisition, that's the first test of whether it's a merger, is whether the leadership.
That's what I'm saying. I think the press needs to seek some professional advice before they speak. If it's an acquisition, no, you can do it one or two ways. One of the simple way, all what it does, BTL buys the shares of Smart, and then it has Smart as a subsidiary of BTL. BTL remains the parent company. Smart continues to issue under the name Smart, but as a subsidiary. The next way he can do it in acquiring it, he can absorb all his asset liabilities into BTL and dissolve the company Smart as a legal entity. And that's how two ways they can do it. Now, I am saying, I would advise that if BTL is going to acquire, I would only take what I need. And let me show you why. If I am going to take from you assets that I don't need, why should I pay for it? So if I have, let's say my assets that I have, my capacity, I have a capacity that is at an occupancy of, let's say 60%. But when I acquire this other company, I broaden my customer base. But if I have a capacity that when I observe Smart, I will only be using up to 75 capacity, then I still have excess. So why I want to take on more of those fixed costs when I don't need them?
Exactly.
So we need to know what you are doing.
What I hear you saying, Joe, is that it's neither a merger nor an acquisition.
No, it's an acquisition.
It's definitely not a merger, but it has to be an acquisition. But how you're going to do the acquisition, because that could vary.
I remember shortly after Smart was created, that the government started throwing all their business over there. So instead of, and BTL was floundering for a while.
Yeah.
What happened? Why BTL recovered, and what happened with all that bit? Why not just take it away from Smart and just not let them have to go there and fight by lowering rates and whatnot? Because how else are they going to get people subscribing?
What had happened when Smart came into existence? Evidently, the customer base for the country, by the simple growth of population, but the technology of going into cellular phone did broaden the customer base. More people were using phones. Because I was there when we introduced, it was under me as chairman, we brought cellular phone. And I can tell you how that when we were going to do cellular phones, The then Prime Minister was advised, and from some people who I thought had personal interest, that we cannot do it, and we will have to bring a company to Belize to join with BTL because they have the know-how. So when I met the people them in Santo Domingo at a meeting, and the minister was there, and when they presented the minister with what was supposed to be a done deal, I suggested to him that we go up to our room, and then when we come back, we will give them an answer. We went up to his room. I tell him, you tell them, no, that we are not going to do what they are doing because you didn't come here for that. We came back home. When I got to see the Prime Minister, and I asked him, Prime Minister, what is this that we are talking about? Bringing another company for BTL to be able to do cellular. He said, I understand that's what we need to do. I said, no, we don't need to. I said, we don't need another company. We can do it. At that time, we had already sold 25% to British Telecom. So British Telecom was going to bring us technology. And the truth about it, BTL had some of the best technical Belizeans, not only with talent, but with skills. Very good. I knew them. In fact, one of them now went over to Smart and is heading Smart. That's one that was heading Smart. And he came from BTL. He was so we used to work together. And so the Prime Minister said, well, no. He called them. He said, no. Cancel that out. We are not going to bring any company here. And we brought cellular phones. We never bring. They wanted to bring a company in to almost buy out, take over BTL.
But it happens over and over again. They create these reasons for expenses so that they can justify where the money is going, and the people are the one who get shaft at the end of the day. We have to pay.
That's true.
And it's a sad state of affairs, man. It's
But there's a solution to it, Mr. Chairman.
Transparency.
I can share with you a solution. I had a meeting last week, it was, and there was a very, I would say, two top lawyers. One is from within the region, but not from Belize. And we were sitting down discussing, giving the review of the Constitution. We felt that this is the time, and I cited to them internal controls. Oh, that's what we do. We set up internal. And they, with their legal minds, we came up. If you take something and we're finding a way, you put something in that Constitution, put it. And what it will do is that if the executive do not comply with the laws, the citizen will have the right to go to the court. And that is what we want. If you can put that in, you see, internal controls in private companies, when you are setting them up, it's on the assumption that managers are honest and technically competent. That's why you employ them. You can't shoot
a pipe dream, no.
No, that's not a pipe dream because it happens. I know it happens. No, the internal control will set up.
Only not in Belize, right?
Let me finish. No, it can happen in Belize because it does work. It works in Belize.
It can happen.
What you are doing, you are putting in internal. You cannot employ a manager and the assumption that he is dishonest because they don't have to apply. You have to apply him and the assumption he's that's why your employer. No, the internal control is there that in the event you snap, they can pick it up and address it immediately. That's how you do it. So no, you do the same thing. Put something into your Constitution that you're going to assume when you elect them. You elect them because you believe that they are honest, they're competent. But if they do not, then the citizens will have the right for judicial review. Then is what you want, need more participation in your democracy. And I bet you if you can do those things, you will going to see some differences. And many countries have done it. Many have done it and succeeded.
Since you mentioned it, what happened with this Constitution reform thing? Because that money they just spend and that's it? And just a couple of people
No, I think it's still in the process. They are coming down eventually to...
It's a slow process, don't you think? They do all the consultations. They had meetings around.
I wouldn't consider it slow. I think it's something that would need time. But when it comes to the referendum, that is what we have to be ready for.
Yeah.
It's the referendum.
As to whether they're going to change it or not.
Yes.
Well, whether we're going to support.
What would the referendum be for?
Yeah.
The way the
law was set up, and it could be corrected on it. is that we will come to a point where they will narrowing down as to what are the things we want to see. And
Or
then the
change.
people, through a referendum, they will decide what they want.
Yeah.
But that might be a very complete. That not easy. You think this should take long? That right there.
No,
What the people? Half of the people don't even know what they want, and the next half don't know what they got. So that a tough situation, Joe. So
but if half of our people don't know what they want and the other half knows what they want, then let's help the half that doesn't know. That's what we are here for.
That's the process. Yeah.
well,
Don't sit back and listen.
good luck, guys. Yeah, I hear you.
Good luck. I
No,
gave
no,
you
no.
a New Year's message, Mr. Chairman. I
No,
sent
you
you all
didn't
a
give
New
me.
Year's message.
You wouldn't put that for me. This
I
this
sent you
a
the
rough
message
situation
to go
because
forth with a sense of hope that things can be better and will be better. With confidence in ourselves and faith in God, we will overcome.
why you sound from your lips to God's ears. No, you're very optimistic there. I'm
I
sorry.
am.
Forgive my suspicion, forgive my skepticism, but it's based on experience. What you are asking for there is a victory of hope over experience. Experience has shown that ain't gonna happen.
What I think I'm asking for is rather than to live in the winter of despair, I prefer to live in the spring of hope. You are living in the winter of despair, Mr. Chairman.
You
It's not
say
a
what
good
you
place to
want.
be.
Yeah. I hope too, but I just know from experience. I mean, Joe, you really come out. I mean,
No, man, I'll be nice at you. Don't worry, don't worry. I won't do that.
I know, but
He'll
that's
buy
a
you lunch. He'll
political,
buy you lunch.
not a political approach where you have to convince your electorate and then they'll vote for you. I'm not convinced that any of the two political. I agree with you in one thing. This partisan politics has got to stop. But you know that it rings hollow from you, who is a staunch PUP and have been there in the trenches. Uh, so I don't know. Are we how where do we find these independent people that you think that you're trying to convince me is really out there? That
You
they're
know, you
really
could
Well,
you could be a political party person, but partisan is different. That means that everything you see is through the lens of that political party. So there's no wrong in what they're
well,
doing.
you'll admit that there are a number of people like that, a large number of people.
There is, and that's what we need to change. That's what we need to change so that people become first considerate of the situation of the country. And that is where they if PUP is doing something wrong, they voice it. They say, even if they have to do it in private to the prime minister or to whoever the leaders or ministers are,
Yes,
this is
yes,
wrong. This is
yes.
what we should not be doing this. And similarly for the UDP or opposition at this point, that these people will now be able to address issues with sincerity. But our system is so built on a sort of a patronage that I get a little bit from here, you get a little feeding, and so you say nothing because it somehow it trickles down and feeds your ego or it feeds your pocket or something like that. That is where the change need to be, that we need to be starting to look at it from a national sort of perspective.
and Mr. Gregory, let me say this. I personally do not believe that no profession, whether it's law, medicine, politics, corrupts nobody. What it does is reveal who we are. Just like the janitor who choose to secure the money he saw in the drawer for the owner. So you could have had a janitor that took that money. I think it's time that those of us to whom more have been given, I think more is expected of us. We have to stop believing that we are a bunch of pirates and thieves and no good people. We are not.
Yeah,
We are not. I am
yeah,
saying, Mr. Chairman, who
yeah.
knew the apostles better than Judas? He was
Unfortunately,
inside.
though, it seems that all the Judas then go into politics.
Or, unfortunately, it seems that we have too many people who hangs around the politicians to benefit from it.
But
That's the problem.
the politicians do also do their share in making sure they get by their loyalty. That's what the money is used for, to buy loyalty, and it's
Yeah, but
crazy.
what I'm saying, Mr. Chairman, I think that Martin Luther King put it rightly. He said, why you want to continue to condemning the rob man because he possessed the money? So you cannot continue to be condemning that person that he was robbed, and if he never had the money, he wouldn't have been robbed. We have to begin to accept that, listen, if you think, say, that politicians are corrupt, politicians in themselves cannot be corrupt. They can't. You cannot, oh, you are corrupt by yourself. We have to begin to stop the encourage party supporters to
I don't
see
agree with that, though. I don't agree with that.
We have to stop encourage them that when they run and they support the party, that when they win, they must be rewarded, and the other side must be punished. That's what we have been doing.
That statement that you just made, that politicians cannot be corrupt by themselves, they cannot be corrupt because they have to get somebody that helps them. That there are many of them that get enriched by themselves.
Impossible.
Yes, there are a lot of people. I mean,
it's impossible.
Joe, how you man tell me it's impossible when you see man go in an office with nothing and come out with 8 house?
Yes, but what I'm saying to you,
lots of money.
What I'm saying to you, if the politician enriches himself by using public funds, he cannot just take public funds out of the treasury for himself. No, he passes it through the person who they get a contract. So that person have to be an accessory to the crime. That's a fact.
That's a fact. You split hairs again, but
I'm not splitting, Mr.
Chairman. It is always a conspiracy of several people.
That's right.
It's not one person acting and getting the money.
But there's one person orchestrating the whole thing. There's one person that's
maybe one person orchestrating
it. That's possible. But a lot of people one head of the cartel. The head of the cartel.
A lot of people signed off on it. Why the money end up and the treasury end up paying that money, and many of them with cognizance of what's happening, that it's a corruption, and they all take a little piece of it. So it is a process that we need to address and stop, and hopefully we start bringing light on it, that it start making everyone aware that the country will not benefit and will not move forward if we have this legacy of corruption that's pulling us down.
I must confess, I'm a little cynical on that. So let's. I don't see anything yet that has changed my mind to get on that.
It's a hope
train.
Suppose I give you something to change your mind, now, Mr. Chairman. And I'm sincere about it. I do mean it.
Cash or check?
No, I am saying, suppose we could have had the city divided in two with a mayor for the south side and a mayor for the north side.
Yeah, you get back to BTL smart kind of thing, no, man. But go ahead.
It's hypothetical.
Hypothetical, yeah, sorry.
The people decide that they will vote for G. Michael Reed as the mayor for south side. Don't you think that you will be able to do a good job, Mr. Chairman? I think you would.
But yeah, I don't know if that's fair to put me on the spot there, because
I'm telling you that there's other good people are wrong. They're not. I think, Mr. Morrison, if you were to offer yourself for election now, Mr. Greg, and they vote you in, do you think you will go and cheat the public funds, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
I don't think you would.
I wouldn't even swear on not doing it, because you know what? And people will perceive it the way they want to anyway. There's an old saying that believes passing Christian picnic first. It's kind of like in justifying that if you have your people, you want to take care of your people first. And I tell you, I don't know if I could say that if a job comes up, an opening, and you have 2 people, and I know one well, and I don't know the next one, if they're both qualified now, and this that the part I have to say, if they're both qualified, I would be inclined to give it to the person that I know.
And so
of course, that makes sense. I don't think anything wrong with that.
So yeah. So with
because
that,
I know the character of that person. I know that I could rely and depend on him.
Exactly.
So that's the person I will be the choice that I would give. But the point is, they both have to have the same capability.
Exactly.
I could give a good case. The then Prime Minister Barrow, when jobs were given to his brother, Dennis. They said it was nepotism. I said, no, it wasn't. Because I happen to know the man as a highly competent lawyer.
But the thing with that, Joe, no, I disagree. There were more. He wasn't the only competent lawyer, and that are the thing where make that being his brother now, and the kind of money where we talk about. I think it was quite unethical. And
But I know about what I was doing, Mr. Chairman. I was taking your own
yeah,
conviction.
you're showing a conversation, yes, and
And
I
I was
understand
applying
that.
it to you in the sense that you had lawyers that maybe would have been equally qualified, like Dennis. But then it was his brother, so he gave it to him.
at that point there, that position, the prime minister with the talk about and the answer to the whole country. So this is not something where he can that one difficult because I see your point and it's brilliant. It's brilliant. But I don't know that I that one day it was tough for swallow. Because I think I thought at that point he was wrong, and I still think that see, justice doesn't only have to be done; it has to seem to be done. In that instance, justice did not. It did not seem that justice was being done.
All right, put it this way: it is to make sure that you are not perceived to be nepotistic. You will deny your brother his right.
I
That's
think
what you're doing. You're willing to deny him his constitutional natural rights just to give the perception that you are upright. That's
but
not being
that
upright.
is not his constitutional right. God, and that alliance have constitutional rights also.
I am saying, Mr. Chairman, if his brother, let's put it a little, but he had a marginal difference over the rest, but he's ahead of the rest, but marginally. And you are saying the only reason why he shouldn't get it is because he happened to be the brother. So why should he be penalized being the brother of the prime minister?
Why
That's not fair to him.
That's not fair to him. That one tricky one, Joe.
But we were talking of justice. We were talking of justice, and it's justice.
Yeah, but why justice at times, no? Yeah, that one tricky one. I have to think about it some more.
Mr. Chairman, justice is not malleable.
You got a point. Yes, I agree. It's and I was speaking that I started out the show with that in fact it's a precise. Virtues are like that, precise. You're is or you're not, no. So, but I think perception also plays a role. The perception that you're gonna create. I don't know, and here's the thing too, that his brother is such a good attorney, he could get a job anywhere else. He could do anything else. So that one day.
But I think he was a competent fit for the position. That's what I thought. And
nobody else was. You know, think a man like him and Courtney could have handled that. And the other brilliant lawyers that we have around.
Yeah. I think other people could have done it. It's not a situation where only one.
And do it as well, because at the end of the day, I don't know that something that required rocket science as such. It was just a matter that they had to have a lawyer there doing the job, no? They really you stumped me on that one there, Joe.
No, I think with your brother or with a close friend, there's conversation you could have and feel comfortable about it. That probably just bringing someone in that you don't have that same type of level of comfort with as prime minister, you could have that discussion, even a tough discussion.
But those discussions could also involve skullduggery. Those discussions could also be ways of, why we know he worth 100,000, but we give 300,000, all right? And then you just play along with that. That is also possible. Familiarity does create some interesting scenarios, no?
Well, we're thinking that it's all is up and up, and we know that it's never that case.
Well, looking at through the lens that Joe to try and get ready for look through, he would assume first of all it's up and up, and then later on, if you got evidence, if you get
One of the things, too, Mr. Chairman, and I must give you some credit, Mr. Chairman, because you know you have kept this show going with some very salient points. You know how to titillate us.
No,
Let me share
you
this.
blow me up, then you make I feel like, all right, I have to agree with what to say. You know, I'm a bright fellow, Joe, but go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was about to say something, but I
That's
think
all
I
right
went.
at this stage. At this stage, but tell me, what do you think? Do you think this BTL thing will happen? And if it happens, will it be the end of it? Will we not see another split off at some point? Somebody else, Ashcraft come again with some other game because, and I want your opinion too on Michael Ashcraft. Is he just a does he like Belize, or does he just want to get as much as he can out of Belize? What do you think?
Could I answer some of those first because I know Mr. Cowie thing or lean straight on something. I think the it should I think the merger should happen, but I
Okay.
do believe that we should get the disclosure and the proper valuation of the assets. Once that is done, and we could see where it would make BTL a better company, then of course, if that is the case, then it should happen.
Do
I
you think
think
the 80 million is a fair price?
no,
Is
I
a
don't.
fair?
I don't know. I don't know. And that's what we don't know. We don't know. We don't know if that is
But
fair
then they
because
could come
we
and
don't.
tell us anything, Greg. Because how do we have? What way do we ever know unless we have even Joe with his inside knowledge of what is going on there? At this point, would tell us that he doesn't know
And
what.
that's why we need proper accounting of it. They said they have an accounting firm that looked at it, but then it just present that to them, to the BTL board, and they're
Mhm.
saying yes, we want public disclosure so that the public, Mr. Joe, other accountants, Mr. Flowers, other accountants, and other people could look at this and say these assets are valid, these assets are going to be obsolete, these assets we don't need, and therefore we're going to make a price adjustment and offer you this. That's how I see it. And on Mr. Ashcroft, I believe that I don't know what his value is on Belize, but he's a businessman, and I think he's trying to make a profit, and he's a shrewd businessman, and he will do everything he can to make a dollar. That's where he's at, and it is the rest of it is up to the people that we elect in Belize to make sure that we hold him accountable and that we don't give away the whole sink to get his business in any circumstance, so that he is always in some way accountable and being a part of the productive sector and not just sucking all the juice out of the economy for his own personal growth.
Do
Go
you
ahead, Mr.
believe that the venom directed at him is justified? That
No, I
people.
don't think so. He's a businessman.
Okay.
I think people take it way too personal. In terms of, I mean, as I said, he's shrewd, and therefore he will make a dollar in every way he can. And if he has to crawl over the back of every elected politician to give them some political money to let them favor him, he'll do that. So,
You know where that all started, right? And there's a point that it started where Ashcraft became the virus, and he got messed with Evan Hyde and who were Commander Crow. Because I remember buy some shares in a
yes,
crime, and
yes,
then when he go and collect and he asked for disclosure, as we are asking for here now, and he was told that you can't do that, and in fact, it was written in that he could have done that, and that where the whole bitterness, and they had started doing demonstrations and things, and people just jumped in the herd and took off. And I think an unfortunate thing as I watch human nature how they do it, and they just jump in. They don't care where you're going or why you run or where to run from. They run away. They said a popular thing to do. I'm with it. I think we have to think for ourselves more. Joe, the question, where is it going from here? Is BTL merger going to happen?
I think that the merger, well, probably, refrain from using merger. I was about to suggest I don't think it will be a merger. So if you ask me if they think the merger will happen, I would say no. It will not be a merger.
The acquisition will happen.
I would say it will be an acquisition. And I believe that on the face of it, there could be merits to an acquisition. But I cannot say whether it should go through or not unless I have the information to make the decision. And here lies the problem, is that the government needs to be more transparent. It needs to come forward more with the information to let us have the opportunity to look at what the government is saying he wants to do and how he wants to do it and what it will cost us.
Do you see them doing that?
I believe that if we put enough pressure, the people, I believe that they will have to do it. Let's give some credit to the government over the last, let's say, a few months. I remember when the 13th proposal came out to extend the state of emergency to deal with the gangs. 2 or 3 of us met. 2 lawyers were involved. The 3 of us agreed that that should not be. I was convinced that the amendment, that 13th proposal, was not the way to go. I'm very familiar with the Constitution. I knew why we used the state of emergency at the time we did it. That to me was not it. The people begin to speak out against it. I went to 2 sessions. The minister was there, the Minister Musa, Karim. I spoke against it, and I gave them my reasons why. Recently, the government decided to stand down. So it means that it listens to the people. He did.
Let me ask you the question again, though, because of that 13th amendment. Do you think that the government was responding, reacting to the state of the situation that exists, which is the rise in crime? And in fact, we've had a bunch of murders, just a few more this weekend. Again, I see they had somebody charged for the murder of the 2 guys on the ice cream truck. That was good news because many of those murdered. But again, too, 97% of those charges that are brought are lost. Those cases, that 3% conviction rate of murders, that's dismal.
I am of the firm opinion that the government was sincere with the 13th proposal. Okay. But I would say this, they were sincerely wrong.
Okay.
And they backed down. But I don't think they were doing it with no sinister motive.
Are you talking about the 13th proposal or the 13th amendment, Mr. Jones?
No, the 13th amendment. Yeah, no. The proposal we're talking about way back here.
No, I'm talking about then.
And number 13.
The 13th amendment.
I think number 17.
It's the proposal for the 13th amendment then to the Constitution.
Right.
But they have stood down now. They decide that they will not go through it.
Yeah.
So I think that however sinister we may be or however cynical we may be about politicians, I think once the people take a stand and they are serious about holding them to the fire and holding them accountable, I think they will have to bend. Unless they become so autocratic and then they really then go authoritarian. So that to me will go into the stage of tyranny and anarchy next. Yeah. So I believe quite strongly, I know for a fact that there are many people right within the Caribbean countries that when 7 ministers in Belize resigned from a cabinet, they said to themselves, and I was told by some of them that is something that should never have happened. And it's because of the way some of us are made to think. But if you, as a member of a cabinet, is there for the benefit of the country and the service to the people, and you find a situation where you can best serve your country by stepping down, isn't that almost like saying it's not that I love my party less, but that I love my country more?
That one tricky one.
So
we're going back there now, though. Yeah.
No, I'm only going back to it for the reason of this. Good. We did it. I did it. I was the one doing it. I paid the price. I did. I paid the price at the polls. But again, I keep saying that was not a defeat. It was a loss in the election. Because I did hurt it those people in the PUP who are benefiting. And there were many of them right in Caribbean shows.
And we don't want to go back. We don't want
No,
to go
no.
back there.
I'm not going
Gregory,
back to that. I'm saying to you
yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying to me. Yeah,
that we have to got the courage to stand up. That's what we have to do. Whether they're politicians or citizens or whether we're union members, we have to got the courage to stand up.
Gregory, do you share Joe's confidence in the government, this government that we have here? And they seem to listen to the people. They walk back on the 13th Amendment that the proposed was proposed. I've seen Johnny with the again with the Budna thing. He seems to have been in favor of our investigation of continuing, looking at that. Do you share the optimism?
Well, I think government of every stripe, they have to listen to the people. And I think when you create this type of resistance and push back at them, they realize and they determine, is this a fight we want to have? And it becomes a cost to them, either a cost in time of what other agenda and other issues they want to deal with, or it becomes a cost politically that they say, this is eroding the public trust or confidence in us. So I think that in moving back, they had such diverse and such strong resistance to it, and such call that this is that needed. We're creating a duplication of societal rights. And because I think they went back and figured that out, they regress in terms of pushing that forward. Now, I'm hoping they're not just pulling back temporarily and will try to force it again, because they did say that they will try to address it through new regular laws that could be put on the books, which I believe they have most of the laws for.
But that was the argument that was being made by many people, that exactly. You don't need a 13th Amendment to do what you're saying that you want to do. Exactly. So what exactly are you really want to do?
Yeah, and I think the new commissioner of police was one of the person that was pushing that. So I don't know, because he got scaled in the way with the Budna issue, that it caused them to kind of say, we don't want to go here with this again, or whether it was just a general decision, as I said, based on conditions and situations and
feedback from the people,
and other fight they would rather have than this one. That made them to pull back. But it's a good thing, and it appears to me that they're even in their dumbfoundedness have listened to the people.
Yeah, Joe, the president of Guyana, is visiting, I understand, tomorrow.
Oh, great!
Coming into Belize. What are we gonna do there? How do we balance that act? Because of course Venezuela and Guyana have their issues.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been supporting Guyana, standing on the side of Guyana. We benefit.
President Ali. I didn't know he was going to Belize.
Yeah.
Okay.
And any thoughts on what's going on? What is he looking for? What can we offer? What can they offer us? Well, they just had a big oil find there.
Yeah.
And they do good.
Yeah, they have I think their reserve right now is 8 billion barrels or something like that.
Yeah. They better mind.
That's only in a few fields. That was not a full exploration. That's just what they found in a few of their fields. So
Trump might go to the president directly.
Well,
I think
they own it all, right?
Yeah, boy.
The president or the prime minister, whatever, is of Guyana, visiting Belize. You have to look at it in the context that Guyana is a member of the CARICOM countries.
Yes.
So whatever he come to do, and we could sit with, is things that already we may be doing in terms of trade. But if you want to find a way, maybe perhaps, even with trade, that we can get them encouraged to perhaps buy some more of what we are selling, and we could buy some more from them of what they are selling. You see what happened in the CARICOM movement before we came to CARICOM, but from we were in CARIFTA. It was the belief that the two countries that would have been the breadbasket for the region would have been Guyana and Belize, because we were gifted with so many lands, compared, relatively speaking.
An arable land, yeah.
Yes,
Arable
yes,
land.
yes.
So I would say that coming to Belize tomorrow, it is more for us maybe to discuss the geopolitics of the region, particularly what happened in Venezuela, and perhaps to try to find ways of how we could help to reconcile the differences with him and Venezuela.
Would you have felt differently had it been the prime minister, or is that president or prime minister in Trinidad and Tobago?
And the prime minister.
The prime minister, would you have felt different if they were coming? If he was coming?
It's a she.
She was coming.
She was, yes, it is a she, correct. Prasad went in?
Basard,
Yeah.
I would really like to be around to meet with her when she comes, if I was a member of the government, to have a really sit down talk and try to explain to us why you did what you did.
Yeah.
I cannot really fathom.
Well, Guyana, Trinidad and Tobago is right on the front line of the drug trade. They seem to be hit very hard with whatever is going on with the trade, and it's not all, I believe, from Venezuela, but they have a very bad gang problem that's really disruptive to their government and the entire society, even more than Belize, because it's very well entrenched. And so I think that when she acted in her country's own self-interest. I think she could have been a little bit more compassionate in explaining to her sister countries, in Caribbean, why she was forced to make the decisions she did on behalf of our country. That I think she kind of failed. She kind of stubbed her fingers at them in their face and not gave good explanation. But I think she has been pulling back from CARICOM for over a year now. Even before I understand, even before President Trump came into power, that she had some differences with CARICOM on a number of matters.
Yeah.
Why is it that she had these differences? Why not discuss them at the appropriate forum?
Yeah, I don't remember, but I know she did not attend the last CARICOM leaders conference, and she did it in person. She did it via
Zoom,
via Zoom or something like that. So it shows that there were some issues that she was facing with them. I'm not quite sure what all those issues are, but there seem to be those differences.
You see, to me, she's violating, I would say, the principles of CARICOM, because the three dimension for us was evidently trade as one, functional cooperation, and diplomatic relations. So when it comes to the diplomatic issues of countries outside the group, we should be doing it in unison with each other collectively. But she chose to go a different way. I don't know. Maybe she bought one of those knee pads that they said they are selling so much in America.
I will withdraw that statement for you, Mr. Curry.
Pucker up. I'm not gonna. I know. Touch that. I know. Touch that. Yeah. But in Belize now, we have the call center scandal,
yes.
and that one interesting one. And something else came up where they said they were buying concert tickets and whatnot out of the people in credit card. A black eye for the country. I mean, are we going to be able to survive this?
The people will always scam and steal and thief and do things. And I think that whoever is operating those call centers need to have proper regime and measures to prevent fraud, because this is not unique to Belize. It happens wherever this type of information, personal information, is given. People are going to take it and use it in such manner. What they need to do now is to realize that it's happening and to bring in measures. That you could implement measures that prevent this type of scamming, But you know, when 2 and 3 people get together, we see that they could always collude and corrupt the process. So what we have to do is to make sure that you make it lessen and more difficult for them to do it. That's all you can do in this type of situation. We had 3 or 4 credit union leaders, people get together and sign off and created loans that people did not create, right? The one said they get it, the other one sign off, they get it, and then they draw out the money and they put it in a personal account. So corruption and this type of illegal activity will always happen. What the people that are managing these call centers need to do is to put in the proper regime of security and control to limit such type of scheming on the people that are their clients.
You're going to Joe Cover Road now. You have to share the blame around. And
Well, my position, and that is this. I mean, you are right to say that it's not something unique to Belize. But what I do believe that is unique to us is that we have to move towards less our vulnerability with more cybersecurity. Because we leave ourselves sometimes to be too vulnerable. So whereas it does happen, but when it happens in those other countries that are higher level of science, but they look that we are so vulnerable that they don't take no high tech for really rob we.
yeah.
Well, the robbery was done by the people we entrusted with the client information. You know,
Yes.
it wasn't someone else encroaching on the information we had and made that type of scandal.
Does it make us look bad? I mean, it's just
Oh,
setting.
of course, of
Can
course.
it can it hurt us in that? Can these people could go other places?
Yeah,
And,
but it happens. It happens. We don't hear about it when it happens in the Philippines. We don't hear about it when it happens in the other countries. But it happens everywhere. It wherever you
It
have
does.
people
It
all
does.
right.
information like this.
This brings me to a point number one we discussed. I was talking about the media earlier, but it seems, and somebody was talking to me about moving back to Belize, and that the problem is that the high crime rate and all that is happening. And my point to them was that, you know what? We have a media in Belize that highlights everything terrible that happens. It seems like they pay a lot of attention. All the news is all about the gory details of crime and murder and this and that. And indeed, these things happen everywhere else also. Is the fourth estate in Belize doing justice to the needs of the people? Or are
Mr.
they just
Chairman, I
going for
would
the
be the
big story?
first
Uh,
to agree with you. Evidently, the media plays a major role in any democracy to make us better informed, to make informed decisions. But sometimes I wonder if they don't go overboard in dramatizing the grain of truth and do
that
off the
is
good
the
of the
point. Yeah,
country.
yeah.
So I do have some concerns, and I must agree with the chairman. I think sometimes, like they go overboard, and I'm saying it as a grain of truth, and they dramatize it, and then do off the good of the country. So it's not good for us. Like they're peddling sensationalism then.
Exactly. But it sells. It
Yeah,
Well,
sells. So again, we go back to, to what you're saying. I mean, there are two sides to that also: the seller and the buyer. Maybe we're too willing to buy what they're selling us, even though it's not good for us.
yeah. Well, you know, we can't create a feel good media. Like you said, it doesn't sell. What always sell is always the challenge of the violence
How
and
about
the
a balance? How about a balance? How about a mixture?
that's right. Exactly.
well,
Showing
well,
some of the good stories.
yeah, well, then we just have to have more about your park that's doing all the good in the neighborhood to balance some of the bad because the
Yeah,
media is not going to go out and how many times have they come and interviewed you about the good work you're doing? You know,
there've been a couple of times. Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I
Yeah.
mean compared to everything else, the
I know. Not,
balance
yeah, yeah. They
I think the and here is that I'm stand to be corrected. But sometimes it looks like it's the type of journalists we have, or who claim to be journalists or reporters. Like they seem to be driven more by a passion to look for bad things rather
apart.
than
But
try. There's so many.
Isn't that human nature, Mr. Cully?
No, I think
People, no,
is
I think people always look for the bad things. They always look for the worst. There are people that look for the good, and we have that balance of people. But they certainly are not in the majority from where I stand.
I don't know that they look for it. They don't mind getting it, but that's why the media should understand that they're the one giving it, and they should maybe not give it in such huge doses. I mean, the negativity, anything that happens, and even when you hear the headline, there's no. I learned that early when I was doing on the press office bit, that the way you give it, as opposed to murder in Lloyd's Bank. You could, well, a man was somewhere you could phrase that where somebody lost their life, and the choice of words sometimes seems to want, they even leave a bad impression, or a wrong impression of what might have occurred. A man walk that situation with either the dog bite man, and the man just may walk, and fast at the dog, or the dog run out and bite the man for nothing. Now how you put it?
But you said something, Mr. Gregory, that is it not in nature of us to be what we are? And I would accept that our imperfection evidently is not our fault, but it is the nature of us. But how we manage the nature of us will depend on the kind of people we will be. So I believe that when you are dealing with a particular profession, firstly make sure you do get the technical competence in that profession, and make sure that you are well balanced in terms of your uprightness to deal with it. And it happens to us. And it's the nature of us indeed. You get some brilliant lawyers, but do some very dishonest things.
Well,
so it is the nature of us.
That one, not a story. But I think the criteria for hiring these people as journalists needs to be raised, and they need to get some training.
Yeah.
Then again, but they don't want to pay no money. Then these journalists in Belize make pittance. I remember I used to do a weekly and the Rooney type show after Channel 5. And I did it for about 3 or 4 years. And when I approached the then owner and manager, Stuart Crone, I said, I need at least something extra, man. I think I'm going to get like $45 per episode. And the man said, me, boy, G Mike, you have to be honest. You're not going to make any more than bare money doing this. And that was his response. And I'm like, I'm sitting and watching the ads roll. So, they ought to get what you pay for at the end of the day.
You must remember that Crone can buy an empty drum for $1, sell it for $1, and make a profit.
Sure. Joe. No, but really, there's one particular, and I don't call no name, not even tell you what station, but there's one, and she's reading the news. I say, I don't give her half idea, and just cannot read. The one error after the other, one fumble, and I'm saying, how do you have a person like this reading the news? We're just not doing as good as we can. Let me say that.
Well, not all our journalists are trained in journalism, and so we do have that drawback to.
Yeah, maybe we should demand that they be, though, because they're the ones that presenting us to us, no?
Yeah. Some of them are quite professional. Some of them are very good.
Some try.
And I've been looking at it, and I do, and I'm looking at American journalism here every day, and I do see significant improvement over time, and it's much better, and it's almost there. But there are still some individuals that you go, okay, But
yeah. I think Indira Craig, to call one name, does a pretty good job.
She can pretty much read the news, and
she reads well. And sometimes she's
but she's been doing that for 25 years.
Yeah. Experience does help.
Yeah.
I still think that sometimes her face gives away how she feels about the story, as opposed to just throwing the story out there. But nobody's perfect,
that's the human part of her.
Yeah, I guess.
But I have seen some improvement too. I must give them credit.
Yeah.
What I would like to have the discussion with them is that about the market. There are some who believe that the buyers want sensationalism. So all they can do now is to feed them with sensationalism. Make that the offer to them to buy because you make money from it. But if you look at the market, the people who have gained success and become very wealthy from the market are the people who can invent and innovate. So when you believe that I am selling this because that is what is salacious, that is what is appealing to the appetite of the people who are watching the news, I don't buy that. I think that we can improve on our reporting. And then we can become innovative and we can become more creative. That the media, and I still will maintain that whatever we may speak of the brother, I think people look forward to hear Jules Vasquez.
Oh yeah. People are in,
Because he knows
in
what to,
particular that yearning for the negativity. Yes, that's a part of that.
well, I would say this, that he knows how to take then the negativity created by those who we know, and then he takes it indeed, and he dramatizes it.
Yeah, sensationalize it.
No.
Joe, make no mistake. He is to the media what you are to politics. You guys fit, and you do a good job at what you do.
Well, we will not make it such that it become exclusive. We want you to be in it, Mr. Chairman.
Well, you know what I want? I want to see some creativity in the ads. Because the ads in particular, when you look past Channel 7, not one lot, but just no kind of creativity at all. We got the Super Bowl coming up next week. Man, you want to see creativity in ads. You know, they're good people. Some people look at it just to see what the ads are going to be like.
You know, there's a lady, there's a Chinese lady that just is so dramatic that I see always.
Oh yeah, I think that.
Yeah, and I like her, and every time she has an ad, I look at it.
Well, she not Belize too. Yeah. From Belize, I want Belize thing. Yeah,
no matter how crazy and stuff. The last one I saw, she
yeah.
had some bra and panties.
Yeah.
She was just going crazy. So there is creativity. There is that opportunity. I think a lot of people don't want a lot of the companies that has products for sale. They're tight with ads. I don't know why. They want to pay the minimum, like you were saying, Mr. Chairman. They want to pay the minimum amount of price. So get this ad done for me for $50. Get this ad done for me for $200. And so your creativity in that space is limited, right? You can't have different types.
Let me give you a current example of how creativity in the media can, in fact, enhance the appetite of people. If they should only maybe go and find some professionals who are prepared to give pro bono service to the media, and then to look at this whole issue with the BTL smart fiasco, if I could call it a fiasco, and get some professional input. That when you come now to the people, rather than just talking about the negatives of it, that it's not good for us, it's this and it's that, then when you come with the reporting, then you can speak more on the issue of this, not a merger has been said by some, it is an acquisition. Show what could be the merits in it. Show where indeed we are failing for not coming forward with enough accountability and transparency. And I would have thought that in the media, this is the kind of thing you would want to hear. Rather than just coming, and I must say indeed that in this case, I can see where even maybe Jules fell down. Because all what they were doing is taking what the union was doing, take people like what the guy named, the yellow man. And they were, you could say clearly that's what they dramatized.
That's what the story. That was a story, yeah. That was a story.
Yeah. You know, was hearing some Robert Rosa, and he becomes a celebrity.
But then
when in fact, you should have had a part of that news for that evening, giving some professional input into what is happening, and that is how you're going to inform people. Don't inform me about Yellow Man as a Robert Rosa. Yeah. Inform me about the merits and the demerits of the issue.
But then if to get that kind of person, you got to pay them, and
I can't do it for him free.
Well, I'm saying for most of the time, if you're going to do that, you need to have somebody you could count on that's a professional, that you could come and address those issues for you, and you'd have to pay them. And a lot of these companies are very tight in terms. I don't know what their margin and profit margins are on those issues, but they
So,
seem to be very tight in able to bridge it, because they keep talking about how the media in Belize is operating on a shoestring, and I don't know
I mean,
why. I don't know why that
before
is.
sorry for the interruption, Mr. Morris. I think the chairman will put me off now. Well, let me show you an example. I was the chairman of that board. Or perhaps they don't remember it because the memory is short. I am a chartered accountant. I am at the highest level of accounting a country can have. That's what we are. 7 years of work to get that license. Why didn't you come and interview me? I don't want to charge you.
Because you're blacklisted. You blacklisted. You're not.
Okay, so I'm blacklisted. All right, that's a good reason. So I'll leave it there.
No, but what I'd like to see that instead of they going to the government on one hand, and BTL on the other hand, do some down the middle commentary.
Yes.
Give us one idea of what. Show some of the facts as opposed to just again, the sensationalism, the area of it that you think when get people all excited and whatnot. I hope they do
It needs
better.
to be rounded. It needs to be rounded and informative and diverse, and that's
Exactly.
where
And
we're
then,
failing.
Mr. Chairman, you just had another dimension to it. You said, "Oh, that they are listing me as black." That's racism.
Blacklisted.
I thought you said they're listing me as black.
Blacklisted.
I would say, well, no, they're going to racism.
No, not only that, they're blind too. Because, no.
What they're blacklisted, Mr.
They're
Chairman.
blind. The vision is blurred.
No, blacklisted.
But really, I think in many areas I'm blacklisted, and they don't give me no opportunity or nothing. Now, maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't hear more about the project I'm dealing with. I really believe that I'm blacklisted.
But let me ask you this way, Mr. Chairman. Why are you blacklisted for an interview about this issue? Why would they blacklist you?
Hey, I'm questioning with no. If you're blacklisted, it would not be about this interview or anything like this. It's somewhere down the line you have said something that they don't like because they're very unforgiving. They don't play that. You disagreed with me one time, you're my enemy. I see that a lot in Belize, and it's unfortunate because you lose friends.
We carry the
easy.
burden of it.
We do indeed.
Belize has a very strong culture of partisanship, and if you're
not one, you're the other.
If you're not in that cult, they look at you for very little.
Indeed. You know a lot about what is going on, gentlemen. We have the time. First of all, I want to thank all the viewers. We had a couple of comments late. I see our good friend Leonard Brackett came on and gave us a few words. Julia, thank you, and thanks all for listening. And let me say welcome to Belize, our good friend Jerome Strong was in. Here's somebody saying nationalism and privatization is the hallmark of this administration. But that kind of like what Jody said, I don't want to attack the administration, and because that happens on the both of them. I really have not seen much of a difference with the two parties when it comes to all of that. Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Folks, same time, same place next week. CY, we're out.
What
you finish it.
Yo, DJ, are you done mixing yet?
Your DJ has only just begun.
The DJ accepts no responsibility for the next record. This is a request.
Yo, what the baddest mix this? No man not tell me nothing. Yeah. Racism is alive and well. If we as black people and people of color don't get ourselves together, form some kind of unification, foundation, we talk economically to this kind of capitalism business. It's real. Listen to me, Lord. Racial profiling. It's a serious thing. A bird without wing. Racial profiling. Listen, me king, this one a top a ranking. Racial profiling. It's a serious thing. A bird without wing. Racial profiling. I saw the things set in a this system. I cannot breathe, living while black, much less gonna Starbucks, living while black. Up against the clan, living while black. Life in my hand, living while black. Kalama skin we under, constant attack. Master race, master plan, the drive me, hold me back. Smoke it on, little rhythm, give me one drop. Your movements, they just can't stop. I cannot sell water as a POC. Permit party will call the COP. I cannot enter a pool as a POC. Pool patrol parlor calling the COP. If I am grilling in the park as a POC, barbecue Betty will call it COP. If I check into an AR and B, my persuasion cannot be a for POC. Racial profiling is a serious thing. Burning out wing. Racial profiling. Listen, me king is on your top around king. Racial profiling is a serious thing. Burning out wing. Racial profiling. Them feeling emboldened. Showers them taking is golden. Y'all them lips loose like Snowden. Like they don't know say we are the chosen. Them entitled and privileged. Them could call another human race savage. This nothing but a sacrilege when we get used as collateral damage. Racial profiling.